Hey friends, it's Blair here. For us to keep telling these year one stories, we need to keep growing our audience. And if you're listening to this episode of the Year One Show and aren't a subscriber, it would be fantastic if you could subscribe to the show on your favorite podcast app. Now, look, we don't expect you to listen to every episode, but we just don't want you to miss out on any personal marketing, job search, and career guidance goodness when a new episode drops. So please make that click to subscribe, and thanks a bunch for your support. Now, let's get this episode started. Hey folks, it's Blair here. On this episode of the Year Ones, we're chatting with Sophie Cugliari. In her year one, Sophie has worked in a few different contract roles and is currently a social media manager at Paradigm Public Relations, where she manages the social media accounts for 7 different clients. Prior to this, Sophie worked at JLM Strategic Marketing, which is a boutique marketing agency that specialized in brand experience or experiential marketing. Some of the things that Sophie and I discuss include the importance of tracking your on-the-job wins as they happen, what it's like to work with a recruiter, and believing that you own your seat at the table. So put aside those distractions, get ready to think about how these insights and tips can help you, and let's press start on this episode. Sophie, welcome to the Year One Show. Let's start off by asking you the tell us about yourself question. So who are you and what are you doing in your year one?
Okay, so I'm Sophie Cugliari. I'm a graduate of the George Brown Digital Media Marketing program, and I'm now a social media manager at Paradigm Public Relations. So I manage the social media accounts for a lot of fun personal care brands like Bulldog Skincare, Cremo, which is a men's grooming brand. And then for sun care, we have Banana Boat and Hawaiian Tropic. And then also tons of razor brands, Chic, Intuition, and Hydro Silk. And prior to that, I worked in some experiential marketing and influencer marketing.
So I was going to ask you about this. So you manage 7 different clients. I was going to be like, how do you do that? Does it help that they're all in the same, like in the, I guess, generally the personal care category, or no, that doesn't really matter?
Yeah, I think it helps. Also, I only started this in January, so I haven't really done, well, I'm kind of doing all 7, but who knows what will happen. But yeah, it does help because they're fairly similar and often they're the same brand managers I'll be reporting to. So I'll start to understand what they like to see, and it's within the same category. So that works to understand, okay, what's going on in skincare, what's going on in shave. Yeah.
Got it. So this is a new role, and I think a promotion, it sounds like, or
No, I just started at Paradigm Public Relations in January. So fully came in, as a manager. Yeah.
So tell us a bit more about, before we get into the role itself, about Paradigm Public Relations. What's the organization all about?
So it's about digital marketing, experiential, and public relations. It's in Toronto, and they'll do lots of like fun experiences. They've had brands for a very long time, like even the Edgewell Personal Care, which is the parent company for all the brands that I work under, they've had for a very long time. So they have a really great reputation for having great relationships and fun clients. They actually have Under Armour as well. So they do really great media relations. And that's something exciting to be part of because like I didn't go to school for public relations. So I'm actually learning a ton about another similar industry.
Got it. And is Paradigm, so it's a PR agency, right?
Yes, they do PR, digital marketing, experiential. So kind of everything together.
Got it. And are they, I know one thing we talk with folks who are in agencies, there are different sizes, shapes. Some are part of like these bigger holding companies. Where does Paradigm fit into the mix? Is it independently owned? Is it part of a bigger holding company? What's like the kind of the where does Paradigm fit into the whole agency world?
It's definitely on the smaller side. I believe independently owned. Like I know both partners who started it and they work there. So I think independent. And it's a fairly small team, maybe all in all 15, because there are also some people who may not be in office, but they work on content or they come in. But yeah, so fairly small, but great reach.
Got it. So then tell us a little bit more about your role as the social media manager. I know it's still pretty new, but what does the work entail? If there's a typical week, what does that look like?
Sure. So the most important thing is the organic social calendars. So I can talk a little bit about what goes into that. So when I'm designing a calendar for Cremo, I'll be looking into what assets do we have, what photos, what products are we really focusing on right now, and then if we have any campaigns going on, giveaways. So all of that goes into the thought process, as well as just what's trending content, thinking about what performed well. And from there, I create the content calendar and send that to the head of digital. And once I get her feedback, then I can send that to the client. So that's really the main thing I do, as it has to be done for 7 brands. So it takes a while. But then also, we will boost the successful content from the organic. And I'm learning more about paid strategies as well. And that's mainly it. There's some work with influencers or the media team, lots of client communications, but that's the main focus.
Do you actually like manage and do the posts on the social networks, or do they deal with that once you've developed the calendar and the content for them?
I'll do it. So I'm using Brandwatch to schedule it. Yes.
Got it. And what social networks do you typically work with for your clients?
Instagram and Facebook, with more of a focus on Instagram.
Got it. And what sort of like what sort of content does well or works for your personal care brands? Do they use do they use video? Video's a big topic now, or is it mainly static photos and visuals? How does that kind of play out?
Yeah, there's definitely a big push for video that's performing well. Even content with a face in it, or just something where people can picture themselves using the product. So even things with hands in it is a little bit better. Things that are more realistic to their life, not necessarily just the product on a shelf or by itself. So definitely, yeah, faces, videos, and even if it can be flashed in any way, or it can make it move or make the graphic move, I'll try to aim for that and make it a reel somehow, because reels are also doing better.
Got it. So you've been in this role for about 3 months. So you've had some other experiences in your year one as well. So what were you doing before starting with Paradigm?
So for my internship at George Brown, I worked at Upwell, which was a small home goods eco-friendly company where I ran the Pinterest account and worked with some of the other coordinators on the Instagram and TikTok. And then at the same time as that, I worked at DAP, which is the leading North American industry supplier of sealants and wood filler, paint projects, all the Home Depot, Lowe's kind of stuff. And so I was the digital media marketing specialist there. So that was lots of influencer work, social media, website development. And then from there, total switch to JLM strategic marketing, where we worked on so many amazing events. It was like the busiest, most fun summer ever. And yeah, now I'm here.
So the first two roles were more social media marketing,
Yeah.
digital, and then JLM was like event-based marketing.
Yes, very experiential.
Got it.
Yeah.
So what drew you? I guess it seems like social has been a bit more of the common thread. What kind of drew your attention to getting into or to this role in social media marketing, or sorry, as a social media manager?
I just try to look for, I think coming out of George Brown, you really focus on what you're good at in school and what interests you. And I think my strength is more in my relationships and communicating with people. And just social media is so great because we can get so much feedback from people and see all the metrics. So I really enjoy being able to like get live feedback, understand what's working well. And it's also fun. I really enjoy working with influencers because you just get a pulse on what's going on with them. And it's fun to weave your brand into their life. And it's also like kind of fun as a brand, people are reaching out to you, asking to work with you as well. Yeah.
Got it.
Uh,
So do you, in this role now, you talked about using Brandwatch as one of the tools. Are there any other tools that are important in the work that you do in social media marketing?
For now, it's mainly Brandwatch because we use that to schedule and report. And it even has some cool new features I've seen, like sentiment and word clouds, even about your content as well as the overall category. So as of right now, just Brandwatch, but I have previously used Hootsuite. So that was really great that we learned that at George Brown. Yeah, and for website development, I used InRiver a while ago. Yeah, but just
Got it.
Brandwatch here so far.
Brandwatch is the main one right now. So what's been the most exciting thing about starting in this new role?
Mm, mm. I think just the people, it's a very fun energy. And it's an agency where a lot of people have been there for a long time, like 5 years, 11 years. So I think the balance of going in and coming home, it's just very exciting that it feels very right. It's taken a while. I've been to a few different places and
Yeah.
you learn what you don't, what you like and what you don't. But at this one, I feel very welcome and it's very creative. And what also excites me the most is this is the first time I'm a manager. So it's very different to be the one making the decisions. And that's exciting. In some ways, it can be scary, but in other ways, it's actually more freeing because you don't have to ask. You can just say, okay, yeah, I like it.
Nice. So do you have people who, I guess, report to you who are on your team in this role?
Not really. It's more so I manage the social media, but I will ask the media team, hey, do you have articles that you can send if we're looking to verify a brand on social media? Or I will ask people about the influencer, like if other people manage the influencers. But no, I mainly just do my own in my own little work bubble.
Got it. So I know we've had some folks who've like had the title of social media coordinator and in a role or a social media assistant, which sounds like it would be a bit more junior. And what you're saying is you're working in your bubble, like you say, but you have the ability to like make the decisions on things and go directly to the client. That's part of the I guess part of the management or the manager title gives you that ability.
Yes. So basically, I'll do everything. And the only things that I would ask is I would just show it to the head of digital for final approval and get some feedback or maybe ask questions. And she's the one who will say, this is how much we're going to spend for boosting each month, or these are the product focus. So she'll create the plan in general that I'll pull from, but overall, I'll do everything for social.
So tell us a little bit more. You've said the word boost a couple times. What does boost mean? And how do you decide on this boost thing?
Yeah, it's something pretty new to me as well, but we can talk about it. So on social media, it's just organic reach. It doesn't go very far anymore. There's so many brands, there's so much content. So a really great way is to just spend money and
It solves the world's problems.
and I remember the professor Kyle saying it's not just pay to play, it's pay to win, or it's just a great way. So what we'll do is we'll focus on, okay, what's a product we'd like to boost? And then we'll go ahead first and see what's already performing well, and then put some money behind it. So there'll be an allocated budget of money, and it will be, okay, but an allocated budget as in, okay, it's going to be for this campaign, or this much money will go towards this specific product. And then I'll start out by predicting which one I'm going to boost and saying, letting them know. So the client gives the okay. And then we'll go in and usually boost for about 7 days, 5 to 7 days so far, and then report on that. So yeah, that's something fairly new to me as well. Um,
So
but
you
yeah,
take your like organic content, which will get whatever the reach is, and then you're going to look through, and some of the ones that perform better based on how you're evaluating it, you're going to boost to put some money behind to get more people to see those posts.
yes,
Yeah, so it's not everything. And is a boost the same as like advertising, or is that different?
they're similar, but paid ads are separate. They can both come from the Facebook Ad Center, which is confusing, and I still have a lot to learn about pay. Um, but no, because it starts out as organic.
It starts out as a post, not as an ad.
Mhm.
Yeah, it can be, there's a lot of different terms, and it um can be confusing, especially if it comes from the same place. But it's one of the, I guess, one of the things to like learn on the go when you're doing social media management.
Exactly. And it looks like an ad because it'll be, it comes up on Instagram, and I can even choose to say learn more, or so you'll see it and everyone probably knows what that looks like. Yeah.
But there's a difference, folks, between a boosted post and an ad placed on the social networks.
Yes.
So tell us about just less about your clients, but more in general, what keeps you up at night, or if you sleep well, what's on your mind about marketing in general right now?
I think just it's always, you can never rest. You always have to know what's trending or what's changing, and it's very fast paced. So I think always just keeping up to date and what's trending. So I think that's something that can just be hard to plan for, because if you plan out a month and then there's a new trend, then you're no longer on brand, or not on brand, but that no longer works or is in style. So I think that's something that I think about a lot. Just making sure all the content's very relevant and that it still works as everything continues to change. And there's just so much content out there and people have a short attention span. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Have you now, I know it's still kind of new, but so you said you work on your content calendar for a month. If something is trending, how do you adjust sort of in on the fly to take advantage of that, or how have you been able to deal with these trending things in it's sort of responding to a trend when it doesn't go based on what the plan is?
Yeah, in some ways, content can just be pushed further. And if it can be something that is fine at all times, it's just a general product that we're going to keep doing or keep promoting. But if there's a new trend, sometimes we will push it later and just ask the client. And it depends on how important it is and how much like time we have. If they're still reviewing, we can then kind of say, hey, just this one. But if everything's already cemented, then it's a little bit more difficult. But we've been able to make some changes. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it's right. It's like decide if the trend is worth going after, and then if you adjust your workflow to deal with it, or you're like, yeah, maybe we don't this time.
Exactly. And it's how many brand managers want to do that. And maybe I can ask for one brand, but I can't be asking for five of them. So just
Got
managing
it.
that. Yeah. And
Yeah,
even now, learning about the brand managers and creating those relationships and realizing what works, what doesn't, right? Because
you've got a lot of them to work with.
yeah, and they're really great. But yeah, I think it just takes a while to understand how people want to be communicated with. Do they want like all the information up front, or do they want little pieces at a time? So if it's maybe more little pieces, then you can give them something else. But if they just want to look at it once and go forward with that, then that might be a less likely to change at that point.
Yeah, it's funny. One of the things we've talked with a few folks who work in social media, and the whole like the changes like with the algorithms or what's going on, like that's the thing that tends to keep we've heard multiple times most social folks working in social media marketing up at night is the changes that the different social networks make. And it's not just one social network you have to deal with. It's usually some multiple of them.
Right.
And they all do their own things. So yeah, you're not alone. Let's talk a little bit more about getting to your day one. And I know you've had a couple of roles in your year one. So I'll leave it up to you to tell us about your job search journey. If how you got this job, or sort of the progression through the couple of roles in this first year.
Sure. So I could just start from the beginning. So my internship, I applied, I believe, through George Brown's portal. So that was very straightforward. And then the job that I got at DAP, luckily I knew someone who knew of the position. And that's something people probably say a lot on this show, and like just networking is the best way to really get a job. And so that's how I got the DAP job. And after that, someone had posted online about the JLM job, and I'd reached out to them. And this was the first one that took much longer to find. Luckily, I was recruited, so someone found me. I didn't find the job, but still had to go through the process of interviewing, of course. But the advice I'd say for finding a job is just really try to network and do so thoughtfully, not just giving out the same, hey, let's talk, but like, why do you want to talk to them, and be very thoughtful about that, because they can tell when you're just sending the same message to 5 people.
So you were recruited for this one. How did the person find you? Let's dig into that a little bit more.
Sure. So on LinkedIn, she found me and just said like, hey, this position I think you'd be great for, and sent me a review of what the job was. And this is the second time that I've been recruited, and the recruiter actually won't tell me what company it's for. So I didn't realize that was something that goes on. But yeah.
So what did they say? Oh, so was it not, and actually, was it a recruit? Like, was it someone who worked in HR for the company, or was it like a third party recruiter with the company as the client?
Yes, a third party
Oh,
recruiter.
okay. Yeah. They typically hold the cards pretty tight.
Yeah, so that was kind of surprising. Even the title, I believe this job was something like content creator, community manager. So when I actually got the contract, I thought, whoa, that's not what I expected, but same sort of role. But yeah, exciting.
Got it. And for the uh and well, I guess let's not lose sight of this one then. So how
Mhm.
did the process go from there? So the recruiter found you online, and then what?
And then she asked my resume. And so I sent that and said, yes, I'm interested in this role. And then from there, she set up an interview. So I had an interview with the head of digital at Paradigm PR and one of the vice presidents. So that was a Zoom call. And so that went well. But then, yeah, right at the end of the Zoom call interview, they said, hey, we're going to give you some homework. Can you do these 3 posts, or these 2 posts, and send it back to us in a few hours? So there was a few, so that was one assignment. And then there was one other assignment um, as well. That was something new to me. I hadn't really been asked to do that before. And from there, they offered me the job.
Got it. So tell us a little bit more. What's it like working with a recruiter? Is there anything you can let people know? It's not something that we've, I guess, talked a lot about so far on the show. So I'm just curious. Yeah, what's it like working with a recruiter? What can people expect? And why would someone want to do that?
Um, Honestly, it's kind of exciting because when you're just applying for a job, you're the one looking so hard, but it's nice because the recruiter is also looking so hard because it's their job to find you. So I would say just keep your options open and just try for everything because they really want you to have the job where they want to find someone. So, and even though the recruiter that I spoke with, she just did a check-in with me. She's very kind. So yeah, just being very available to say, here's my resume. Can I give you anything else? Do you want to see any of my work? Having that on hand. And really check your LinkedIn, check everything very fast when you have a recruiter.
Well, right. Like, is like it's having, I guess, up to date LinkedIn is important because not only again are you looking for people, but you don't know who might be looking at your profile for roles that they are hiring for.
Exactly. Keep your LinkedIn open. And something I did that I recommend that I didn't want to do, but I did and I'm glad for, is I posted saying I'm looking for a job. And that's something I recommend because a lot of people actually message me from that, trying to provide an opportunity or maybe they knew someone. So if you're looking for a job, don't be afraid to ask because people really do want to help. And if they don't, well, at least you tried.
Did you, so you said post, like you made not just like the like looking for work, you actually made a post that put yourself out there and said, I'm doing that?
Yes. So for LinkedIn, there was an option. I put the little logo on my face
Yeah.
saying, yeah, looking for a job. And then it prompted me to say post about it. And so from there, I made like an actual post that was, yeah. And they'll give you a template basically. I'm looking for a job and anything is appreciated. So you just cater that to be a little
Yeah.
bit more specific. Mhm.
Nice. That's right. It's like if you don't ask, you won't get, right? So
Exactly.
it's a good tip to share with folks there.
Mhm.
So what's been in some of the evolution, what's been the hardest part of the job search journey that you've had to deal with?
Mm, I think not getting discouraged is difficult because you'll get a lot of no's, and sometimes you feel like there's so much talent and there's so many roles, and what determines you is different. Um, so I think that's a very difficult part.
Yeah. Well,
And
let's,
resume
oh,
building.
what do you mean by that? So what sort of things?
So making sure your resume is good. I didn't realize my format was very bad. The spacing was off. And when I actually printed it for someone and she said, just so you know, this formatting isn't good. This part takes up too much space on the too much ink. So things like that you wouldn't even think of, which is why it's so good to get your resume seen by others.
Interesting. So like resume formatting matters.
Resume formatting, putting your key qualifications, and that's something that I would say is a bigger mistake that I've made, or probably other people have made, is not tracking your wins and your accomplishments. Because, well, it's good to as well, be positive and be happy with your work. But also when it comes to resume time, you want to be able to not just say, I worked on a social media account, but you want to be able to say, I grew this following by this much and I increased engagement by this amount. Because when it came time to do the resume, I knew I'd done a lot, but
It's
yeah,
sometimes it's out of mind, right?
exactly.
So yeah, jot down those little wins with the results as you go.
For sure. Things that are measurable and that stand out and are less duties, but what did you do to make it more special? Which is so much harder done than said.
You know what? It's something like I've gone through the job search on like a handful of times in my career, and I didn't do it as well early, but now it's like it's exactly that. Like when you get something, it's like I have just like a note, and it's the time frame, like what it was, and then a couple of the measures, what we've tried to do and what some of the measures were from that. And it becomes this running thing, and you have it there, so you don't. It's just one less thing to think about.
Exactly. That's a good idea. So already I'm starting to do that. And it should be somewhat easy because, if you're like, I have to measure my followers. So instead of just reporting to them, report it to yourself and write it down somewhere as well.
Yeah, you know, that's a great tip. Report it to yourself, and you don't even have to like edit it. Just get the things, and then you're probably not going to put them all on your resume, but at least you have them there, and you can go, oh, yep, this, nope, nope, yep. So I like that. We're gonna keep that. Report to yourself.
Exactly. Good.
One thing you mentioned in your profile is one of your hobbies. I don't know if it's your favorite hobby, but you talk about dance. So are there any transferable skills that you get from doing dance? Tell us a little bit more. And what sort of dance do you do?
Sure. Yes, I love dancing. I do it at least once a week. And when I was younger, I did competitive dancing. So I go at jazz solo and ballet and that kind of thing. And it's very transferable because it's creative. So there's these moves that everyone does, but how do you do it in a creative way? And the same way you would make an advertisement, put it to music and make people feel an emotion. So it's all about that. And that's what choreographing is about. And then also it's a team thing. We all have to be involved. Well, maybe not if you're doing a solo, but in general, there's a team, there's a group, there's a performance. And yeah, so that's just like a team at work. And I think something else important to pull from that is expressing yourself and putting it out there. And I think in marketing, also just try to express it yourself and put your work out there. And don't be so afraid if maybe the idea won't work out well or that won't be the one that's chosen, but just put it out there and express yourself in some way.
Yeah, you know what? My daughter, full disclosure, like my daughter, she dances as well.
Mm.
And that's the one thing, like every year at the especially like the just the main recital, she does competitive, but the main recital, the director comes out and or the executive director, and she's like, it where we are, it's more than dance. Like we teach them, it's not just about the dance, it's all these other skills. And it's really it really truly is yeah, everything that you talked about: performance, putting yourself out there, the teamwork aspect, and then just like literally like pulling together a dance with all the different moves. It's like the it's like, yeah, creating an ad is like pulling together ideas into
Yeah.
this story. It's the same idea, just applied in a different way.
Yeah, like costumes, all of that. And then also being able to present. I'm probably more comfortable presenting a dance than probably speaking with my voice still, but I'm working on that. But yeah, when you're a kid and you have to go do a solo in front of everybody, that definitely builds up your confidence. And those skills can also be used to presenting in front of a crowd. I know soon I'll probably have to do some presentations at work. So I'll have to,
Yeah,
get over that and use my dance presentation skills.
that's right. Find the performance, or the one thing, find the attack and bring it to there, right?
Yes.
Nice. So what's a brand or an organization that you kind of look up to, or you think does a great job with their marketing?
I'd say the Inky List. I really like their social media marketing. They'll talk about specific products and what they're really good for. So they had one about caffeine. Like, what does that really mean? Because there's so much jargon and all these words. But like, what does that really mean for your skin? And they did one post speaking about raising the price of their products. And they had someone, maybe it was a CEO, but some decision maker, and really speaking about this is really why we make it so they can still be sustainable, and just really explaining, having that transparency with consumers. So they do that really well, and I definitely admire them for that.
Do you find inspiration from the Inky List to bring to, especially now, like some of the work that you're doing with skincare brands?
For sure, yeah, seeing what people communicate with more, and yeah, the videos and what really gets more comments, and even noticing the things that you might find interesting if you're the target audience, which I am for some of my brands. So paying attention to that.
Yeah, it's fun. It's like interesting, especially when you're in the target, right? You kind of have to, like, you can switch between being like the marketer and have to think like that, and then be the, would I buy this, be the audience, be the target market for that brand.
Exactly.
It's one thing I always sort of try to talk to people, but it's really helpful, especially like pretend you are the target market, but especially when you are, target market, it helps see both sides of the coin. I think it can make you a better marketer. You have to like empathize with yourself.
Right.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's talk about some things that you've learned along the way. Is there a common rookie mistake that you see in the role, or maybe a rookie mistake that you might have made yourself?
Probably, I would say the one about not recording your wins, but also I'd say a rookie mistake is just being afraid. And that's something you see across a lot of people, because if you just went with your ideas and were more decisive, that would probably save a lot of time. And so just know that, like, if someone's saying there's a seat at the table, it's offered to you, you deserve to have it. And just try to own the space, whether your role is a coordinator or manager or whatever it may be. Try to make decisions from a place of power instead of fear. And yeah, I'd say just trying to be less afraid. And that's something a lot of people have, imposter syndrome is something people talk about a lot. So just believing in your ideas more and putting things out there more instead of worrying and probably taking so much time going back and forth. Yeah,
I like what you said, own your seat at the table. I think that's a nice way of saying that. Um, it can be intimidating, but there's a reason why you're sitting at the table and why you have a role there, and find your voice and your confidence in that seat. It's a nice message, a nice takeaway.
thank you.
So one final question then, what's an important lesson or lessons you might have learned in your year one? Something good, maybe not so good, or something that was surprising or unexpected?
Mm. Well, I think one thing would just be, don't pigeonhole yourself. Like, I didn't expect to end up here. Even being in public relations, I was really surprised. I didn't expect to be here. I didn't expect to work in events. So keep an open mind and just try to say yes as long as you're comfortable, but say yes to different things and different opportunities. And I was surprised by kind of how cool marketing can be. A lot of the events that I was involved in, just really fun. We had one at the Globe and Mail Center. So it was really exciting to just meet a lot of interesting people. We had another event at a Blue Jays game, and those are things I would have never been able to do um, before working in marketing.
Yeah, it's funny. One of the things that we were talking about just before we started recording, right? It was like the whole working remote or online versus in person. And there is a like the sense of occasion being part of in-person events, especially for marketing. I've done some of those in my past as well, and like they stand out and they really resonate. And you can like, they're like multi-sensory and can really bring things to life, the space, what you do, the people. So it's something that online can't completely replace.
Exactly. Marketing is just so much fun because there's so many ways it can go. And even last year, because I know this year the Beer Fest Ice Cube is going to be there. But last year it was Nas, and because I worked with someone, I got to go for free. Like, just stuff like that, super fun.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, you get to and you don't know when you're going to get invited to, which is interesting too. It's like, I like working in marketing is the best job in the world. So like there's different places and different things you can do within marketing, but just anything under that umbrella, there's just a lot of interesting stuff that you can do and interesting experiences that you'll have.
for sure.
Yeah, it sounds like you're starting to have them in your year one with some different organizations, and it'll be interesting to see as this role that you're in right now with Paradigm Public Relations, as that continues to evolve as well. So thanks for chatting with us, Sophie, and for investing your time with the year one community. Before you go, let people know where they can find out more about you. If you share any work or anything online, what's the best place to see that?
On LinkedIn. And just my name as it will be written, Sophie Cugliari is the best way on LinkedIn.
Awesome. And we will make sure the link is there for folks who want to see it. So remember, folks, getting a job, any job isn't easy. And even multiple jobs in your year one. Sophie made it sound easy, but there was a bit of a journey to get there along the way. There's definitely a role out there for you, and we're here to help you get it. So thanks for joining us, and we'll look forward to seeing you again soon.